Beyond the Waves is a Hail Hail Media production. It may contain sweary words, and adult situations may be discussed. If you're in the company of underage temps, turn up the show now and listen back later. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, email us at beyondthewaves67@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter at BTW Celtic Show, or you can join our group on Facebook at Beyond the Waves. Hail, hail, and keep the faith.
Watch out! You might get what you're after. grow don't realize that everything ain't black and white, it's brown. Oh Lord, your light bright on every day is the same. It's a long way to paradise from here. It's a long way to paradise from here. Every week you stand in line, you queue to put your name upon the form. And every week they have devised another way of making you feel small. Oh Lord, life runs home, you're not living at all. It's a long way to paradise from here. It's a long way to paradise from here.
Welcome to the Beyond the Waves Celtic Football Show. My name is Graham Wilson, and we are coming to you live from Chad Hogan's basement. Chad is upstairs in the hot tub with 4 chicks celebrating the 3-1 victory over the Diet Huns, soon to be Dead Huns Part 2. Tynecastle will be turned into flats. Brilliant. We saw the debut today of Pookie. Love a bit of Pookie. The Pookster coming on and slapping around a few Diet Huns and then scoring a goal. Oh, there it is. Knew it had to be. Yeah. Figured that wasn't far behind. Good God, that's awful. We're going to have to come up with a better song than that. That song is absolutely awful. But, yeah, he looked the business. Still, I'm getting all of the reports about him not being a penalty box striker, but you know, it looks like he's not afraid to throw himself about and get thrown about, I guess. And he's not going to back down from the physicality of the Scottish game, which is good to see. And it's early doors, obviously, but you can start to see what Neil Lennon and the scouts have seen in him, and hopefully, you know, the scoring prowess that we saw today can continue. But man of the match today, obviously Anthony Stokes. Another fantastic performance from him. I'm not sure quite when. I think we might be on the cusp of unanimous support rallying behind him. It's funny, Neil Lennon in his remarks after the game today said that he seems to be blossoming. Yeah, a player that averages 20 goals a season, he's starting to blossom. Someday he's going to get his due credit, and I think that we're really on the cusp of that. If he can get a run of games and really show his worth, he's going to start to get these plaudits, in spite of the fact that it seems as though some folks like to spit the dummy out because he went to a funeral for a friend of his, or one of his mates was involved in a dust up with an idiotic Elvis impersonator in Dublin 6 months ago. It seems as though everybody wants to put the boot into Stokesy for these nonsense stories that the Sun comes out with. Not for me. I think that the boy's been absolute quality on the pitch for quite some time, and with the absence of Hooper, it's really going to lean on him to come through with not just creating the goals, but also scoring them. And we saw perfect examples of that today. His first touch was absolutely pristine, and his instincts, some of his runs that he timed. I mean, one of his runs, incorrectly called offside, led to a goal that was pulled back. I mean, typically, when Stokes is offside, he's 3 yards offside. Okay, when it's borderline like that, you got to give it to the tie goes in favor of Stokesy there. But long may it last. And it's interesting now that there's quite the debate happening on Twitter and the message boards just now as to whether or not he's even going to start in Milan on Wednesday. One of our most influential players on the park today. And the Milan scout was shown on BT Sport today as being in the stands and doing a lot of intelligence. Well, he's probably shitting himself at Anthony Stokes, and he might not even see the pitch at the San Siro on Wednesday. But it's an interesting situation. Will Anthony Stokes start? I want to throw that question out there. So much to talk about this week. I'm on my own, so the Skype lines are wide open. So give us a shout. Add us as a contact at Beyond the Waves. Go on Skype.com, download it. It's a free download. You can call me for free. You can get wired in straight to Chad Hogan's basement. We could talk about the game or anything that you want to talk about. Lots of issues coming up this past week. Ian Black, he bets on his own team, and he gets 3 games suspended. It's unbelievable to me. The fact that a player can bet against his own team and then his manager welcomes him back with open arms. That's not dignity. That's desperation. It's pathetic. And it's no wonder that they're having their troubles in dealing with our growth. Also, Jim Spence. The saga continues with the issue here with Jim Spence and the fact that all he did was state a fact on live air. But no, when you don't toe the line for the establishment club, that being Sevco in their second year, then you are the victim and the subject of abuse. And this gets into the wider ranging topic of why are the journalists in Scotland such spineless chicken shit pricks? Why is that? Well, it's easy to see just now. Why? Because if you don't toe the line, I'm not even talking about if you go against them. If you don't toe the line, and toeing the line being obviously falling in with this idiotic idea that they're somehow the same club, even though they haven't paid any of their debt, then you're a marked man. He can't even go out for a walk with his wife without hearing abuse, without having threats against him on social media and elsewhere. And the BBC, it's absolute embarrassment to send out an apology for one of their employees stating a fact. To kowtow to the zombies, and it strikes to everything that is wrong with that club. The onslaught of abuse that he received as a result of that. People saying that he brought it on himself. I mean, it's absolutely mind blowing. It's pathetic. And then another topic that seems to have lit the Celtic support alight as it typically does, and we don't tend to need any further excuses, but I want to hear the general consensus on this as well. The fact that season book holders had access to what it seemed like unlimited packages to the Champions League, and that shut out anybody that didn't have a season book. Then there's the debate or the one side or the other, the season book holders saying, well, if you don't have a season book, you're not a real fan, and me as a season book holder, I'm a better fan than you. And there's all sorts of glory hunters that only want to turn up for the Champions League, but they don't want to go to every Saturday. Well, okay, that's one way to look at it. If you're gonna look at it from a purely cynical standpoint and not have any empathy for, let's say, the person who works weekends and can't make it to the weekend games, or the person who's in between jobs or can't find a job and really needs to pick and choose what games they're going to go to and can't afford a season book all up front. Are you saying that basically they're shut out of the Champions League because they can't afford a season book, or because their work situation has them maybe at a disadvantage? Circumstantially. So basically, you're going to say that your cynicism towards the quote unquote glory hunters is paramount to those folks who are just scratching and clawing and trying to make their way and going to all the midweek games and went to 3 of the qualifying games, but now all of a sudden they're not good enough to have access to the Champions League games. And I understand there's not a perfect solution to this. No matter what, somebody's going to be pissed off. But to completely shut out anybody that doesn't have a season book for whatever reason, and there are more reasons than folk can't be bothered unless they're in the Champions League. I get the cynicism. But for me, I'd rather take the mindset of favoring out of empathy those folks that can't afford a season book, or circumstantially they can't justify a season book, but would like to go to a Champions League game. Now, the other side of that is, if you have somebody that has a season book and they get unlimited packages or whatever, what's to stop them from giving their spare seats to some of these glory hunters? So by saying that season book holders are only allowed, they're going to be the only ones that have access to these packages, that does not eliminate these so-called glory hunters. So for me, I'd prefer to err on the side of having empathy for those who may not have the privilege or the ability to have a season book. I want to hear from everybody Get your calls in. And we are joined already by, all the way from the lovely shores of the Emerald Isle. It is MC, all the way from Newry, even though she's not a fan of Armagh, which we'll have to sort out at some point. Maybe not today, but she's all about the up down, up down. MC, thanks so much for calling in. Fantastic call the last time. We got so much very positive feedback. What say you? What? So many different topics to talk about. Let's start from really what's important. Did you see the game today? What were your thoughts on the performance? I mean, I think today we got a sense for how Neil Lennon sees this side lining up, not just in the SPL, but perhaps in the Champions League. This 4-2-3-1, Pukki up top. I would sense that he's going to get the starting nod as time goes on. And I liked the what I saw from Pukki so far. What were your thoughts on the game today?
Oh well, I was very pleased with the game today. There's certain aspects of it that you question, sort of like Fraser Foster, and that there's still something not right at our back, and going up against the best in Europe, I'm a bit uneasy about that. But overall, the performance, very, very pleased with Stokesy. I said from the start he was going to be a big player for us once Hooper left, and he's shining, and I'm well pleased with that, especially for those that really didn't give him any sort of chance and wanted to sell him off or put him out on loan. I think he's sort of shown them that here, I can do it. I am a good footballer. It's taken me maybe a year or so to settle in to actually being a proper mature footballer, but he's got there. So yeah, no, I was very pleased with the result. Another wee goal would have been nice, so my coupon could have come up, but I'll not be greedy.
Well, we should have. We rightfully were entitled to another goal. It was incorrectly chopped off, but nonetheless, I'll take it. 3-1 away to Tynecastle, and I thought a fantastic managerial performance from Neil Lennon. We saw a 4-2-3-1 to line up with, which Bo Richter on one end, Commons running the channels through the middle, and then Adam Matthews, I think we might have found a new spot for him if he can stay fit. Now, the comments coming after the game today was he will be ready on Wednesday to play against Milan. But, he had one of those contact injuries, which it looked a bit sore. And then it looked like he might have rolled his ankle. And I think Neil Lennon might have just said, enough. We need to bring him off. He's far too important. Bringing Sammy on, I know. I give Sammy loads of stick. Then we switched. It seemed as though more to a 4-4-2 with Sammy and Stokesy playing up top. And once again, they do not play well together. Sammy doing his usual, sort of lost dog routine where he doesn't know if he's on side, he doesn't track back to get himself back on side, and then when we have the break of play, it's like don't bother sending him because he's not going to make a run. When it seemed as though through no fault of his own, when Ledley went off and Mulgrew came on, we went back to a 4-2-3-1 where it seemed as though Commons was splayed out on the right hand side when we went to a 4-4-2. When Commons got back more centrally, and we had Sammy on the left, Bo Richter on the right, and that Commons Stokes partnership up top, and then especially when Pukki came back on, I can see that as being the template, and I think that the odd man out eventually is going to be Anthony Stokes, unfortunately. But having Sammy on one end, Bo Richter on the right, Commons running the channels through the middle, and then I can see Pukki probably, taking if he can continue this run of form, I can see, him maybe being the preferred option. But I mean, it's amazing though that the man of the match in a game like today, who had such a powerful performance, we're actually debating whether or not he's going to play in our first Champions League tie on Wednesday.
I know, it's great to be in that position, isn't it?
it's a great problem to have, but I mean,
I know. It's. I would start him. I think Stokesy, he's done everything he could to prove that he is a big game player. He proved it in the Carragana game. He never stopped running that game. He was reading the ball so well, even off the ball. I honestly think we should start him in Milan just to give him that chance to prove that he is a big game player, because that's been the criticism this past couple of seasons, that he never started against the Huns, and people are saying, it's because he can't play and he's too lazy and he's this and he's that. And he goes
to offensive funerals. He beats up Elvis impersonators. I mean, come on. We can't start him.
I had put my hands up his first season at Celtic, and I was like, no, can't have him. I don't like his attitude off the field. And then what he did with the whole Ireland thing, I was like, no, screw you. If you're going to do that, get out of my face. But I think he has now proved that, off the field, what his dad and everything else they're into, that shouldn't come into effect of what he does on the field. It's not his fault he grew up in them circles where your friend, is in not exactly legal activity, but you're going to go to that funeral. I would go to a funeral of my mate, and even if I didn't agree with what they did, do you know what I mean? And it's that type of thing that our fans seem to leech onto and won't give him a break, that he is playing some stunning football, but no, sorry, you went to a funeral. How dare you? It's pathetic. Like.
Exactly
right. And do you
right.
notice that it's the ones that are giving Stokesy pelters are the actual ones on Twitter right now going on about Paros and how brilliant they are and everything else. Fuck up. And I know Paul's listening to this. I don't care, Paul. No Paro, no party. Get the fuck out. I don't want them.
Anytime Pyro comes up, the first image that pops into my head is Paulie's face. And look, I don't want to turn this into the Pyro debate show. I really don't, because I think that it's, and I know where you're coming from, and I think it's it's such a small little segment, and so much that is great that is happening with this club just now, and I don't want to dwell on it, but. With that being said, it'd be disingenuous to completely ignore the fact that there was a significant amount of pyro at the game today. Truth be told, it wasn't just from our supporters; it was from the Hearts fans as well. Yeah. We're seeing the grounds all over Scotland today. Motherwell, St. Mirren. There was a report that there was pyro at Hibs. I don't know if the supporters of all these clubs are communicating and let's all just do pyro at the same time and there's safety in numbers. But I mean, listen, let's be honest. We're Celtic supporters, and as such, we're gonna feel the blunt end of the law and of the circumstances of this. I mean, it would not surprise me in the slightest to see Celtic get the harshest of punishments, if there are punishments to be levied out. With that being said, I've been in the camp in the past where it's I don't personally, I don't get it. Listen, Glasgow, the leafy west end of Edinburgh. I mean, we're not in the Rosario section of Buenos Aires. We're not in Warsaw, Poland. We're not in Belgrade, where you see a prevalence of this. We're not in Istanbul, where there's pyro all over the place, and it's accepted, or at least it's more prevalent. I don't get it, but I feel as though there should be some semblance of liberty, especially if it's not hurting anybody. What we're seeing now is it hurting people. What switched me over? I saw images of people retweeting, themselves getting burned by pyros that are being thrown into the crowd from other sections of the crowd. For me, now, when I see that, I'm sorry, I can't get along with it. I mean, the simple fact is, if you're going to do the pyro, be smart about it. Hold it up in the air, do whatever the hell you have to do, get the smoke going all over the place, and then put it on the ground, stomp it out, put the water on it, or whatever you do, but just keep it safe. But when you take a pyro or you take a banger and then you throw it into a crowd, you can't claim, ignorance. And the other thing that I find appalling is the lack of remorse from so many people when they see the pictures of a fellow Celtic supporter having their leg burnt up, and they say, well, I go to games and I get smacked, sometimes from, the celebration or whatever. Well, you know what? If you get smacked or you get kicked or you fall on the ground, there's some semblance of an accident. Oh, sorry, big man. Are you okay? Sorry, wee man. I got a little excited. I might have hit you with my arm, whatever. There's some plausible deniability with that. The accidents happen. You can't claim that you light a pyro off and then you throw it into a crowd of your fellow supporters and say, oh, sorry about that. I didn't mean to burn you as I threw this flaming piece of fire right at you with all this smoke and sulfur. Well, my bad. It's an accident. You can't do that. That's just stupid. This is why we can't have nice things. So, it does far more harm than good, in my opinion, in terms of, the reputation of the club. I mean, there's all sorts of debate about, should we be singing certain songs, or should we identify with certain things, albeit, the Irish songs and the Irish identity. And, I can make a case for that, but I can't make a case for the fact that pyro goes hand in hand with Brother Walford's mission. We're going to set up a football club for the maintenance of dinner tables and flares and bang. Stop, okay? If you want to have fun and you think that's fun, that's cool. I totally support your ability to do that. Go up to the car park at the Forge, or go down to the Gallagate and light them off, and make sure that you don't throw them at other people, okay? But when you see situations where it's being thrown into crowds of our fellow supporters and people are getting hurt, I can't get along with that. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. While we're on the subject of our songs and all, I'm just going to say this out now. Say those singing the Soldier song, could you please stop putting the add-ons on? Oh, I really have to bite my tongue when I hear that. It's really annoying.
Oh, I know.
Oh. And before I came on, you were talking about the season ticket holders and that whole debate that went on.
Yeah, what do you say?
I find it funny, right? There's every week there's something new that is dividing our fans, and I find it hilarious that, you know, this came up last year and it's coming up again this year. And I find it so funny that season ticket holders are like, oh, well, you know, you should have got a season ticket. You would have got them packages. And you're like, yeah, but you're buying the packages for non-season ticket holders. So you're effectively saying it's okay not to have a season ticket hold because I'm going to get you a package. You know, it makes no sense that they're the Uber fan as such, but they're going to buy for non-fans that haven't been to games before. It's pathetic, this whole, I'm a bigger fan than you. I'm sorry, you're not.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's a situation where season book holders, you know, they make this case that they want to, you know, this is the best way to keep out glory hunters. Well, I'm sorry, but, you know, you as a season book holder, now you can buy up all sorts of packages you want. And so basically you're saying that you're a better judge to distribute these tickets because you're a season book holder as opposed to just opening up to more general fans. I understand that if you're a season book holder, you should have the right to maybe buy a couple extra packages, but to go in and buy and buy 4 or 5, you know, extra packages, and so that there's none left for, you know, somebody that perhaps can't afford the 300, 400 pound for a season book up front, especially if you want to take, you know, a kid or you know, a family. You know, I mean, I can't even imagine if you want a season book for a family of 4. What do you got to shell out 1,200 pounds up front? I mean, come on. You know, there's decisions that need to be made. You know, maybe you go to, you know, 1 game a month or, you know, whatever the situation is. But as such, you now all of a sudden you're shut out of the Champions League because you didn't buy a season book. I think we're finding this from a lot of, you know, it's a lot of the single guys that, you know, have access to the funds, but they don't have kids. They don't have a family. They're not buying strips for 2 or 3 kids. They're not working 2 jobs to make ends meet. And the thing that is upsetting to me, and I see this more and more often, is the lack of empathy towards fellow supporters who might not be as fortunate as you are, you know, and letting cynicism outweigh the empathy and the communal feeling there. That to me is off-putting.
Well, I would never begrudge them, say, maybe 1 or 2 extra tickets because, you know, yeah, you bought a season ticket. Maybe you should get some rewards that non-season tickets. 1 or 2 is fine. I get that. But they need to realise that even the likes of us here in Ireland, you know, going over the matches, it is so pricey, even if it's for day trips, which are just hell on earth. You know, you're up and you're away at 3 a.m, you're travelling all day, you go to the match, a few drinks, you're back in the boat and you're travelling, you're getting home 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, you're talking the guts of £300 for a day trip. So you can imagine how much it is if you're going to stay over, hotels, flights, everything else. You know, it's not easy. So I can understand people from here who go over a couple of times a season. Of course, they're going to choose the big games where there's going to be an atmosphere and it's going to be brilliant. And maybe, you know, it is seen as glory hunting. But if they buy the strips and they support them, watch them on telly or on the computer or go to games throughout the season, then why shouldn't they be allowed to experience that Champions League feeling that maybe some people are experiencing due to their friends? You know what I mean? It just makes no sense to me.
I agree completely. There's no reason why they should be completely shut out because, you know, season book holder is going to buy 4 or 5 extra packages. I think it's gluttonous, you know, to a certain point, and I'm just put off by the attitude of many, you know, saying that and just openly pontificating, you know, that they're better supporters, and if people want Champions League, they should just buy season books, you know, or you just need to make decisions. You know, we're Celtic supporters. We're supposed to be, you know, empathetic with one another, and I just see that eroding, and it's concerning for me. One last thing that I want to just relay over to you, if Tiernan's around. Now, tell us, he's made it so that you can't leave the house until you get a couple of renditions of that, or what's the status?
In the morning time before school, he has to hear it at least twice and runs around the living room floor like a little dog, just in circles, running. But he does the actual start of it where he's like, Pookie, and then he claps to himself. And it's the whole way down the hill to school, and he's singing it. It's so cute. He's starting here now. I'll see if he'll do it. Do you want to sing the Pookie song? Go. Pookie.
Instant fan favorite. The fact that he took the number 20 has been instantly forgotten.
Yeah, I know, but it's funny because he was watching the video, and in the video he's got long hair, and it's sort of pointing out during the match, oh, there's Pookie there, and he's like, no, haven't got long hair, no, put the song on. It's like, no, just nightmare. It was funny at the start. It's not funny now, G-Man. I hate you for giving me that song.
Listen, it seemed like a good idea at first. It's not the first time I've done that. It's not going to be the last. But MC, thank you so much for calling in, and we'll catch up with you later, all right?
All right.
Cheers.
Have a good show.
All right. We'll see. We'll talk to you soon. Hello.
All right. Hello.
MC checking in again. I was hoping she'd call back. Another very rationalized, very reasonable call from MC, from Nuri. And a lot of good thoughts there. I know that, there's some debate going on in chat. Give us a call, fire in, and I want to hear from folks. If you disagree, that's perfectly fine. This is what this forum is for. It's open for you, and much to the contrary of what I've been called in the past. No, I'm not Hugh Keevins. I'm not going to shout anybody down. This forum is open for you. And speaking a little bit more about the game today, we're getting some feedback on Twitter from Evil Knievo on Twitter. Stevie K, he's saying Big Virgil will bring out the best in Ambrose. Happy with the back four. I agree completely. I think that to a certain extent, Van Dijk did a lot of cleanup work for Ambrose, and let's be honest, he's going to need it. He can be a bit of a bomb scare at times. He does tend to get a bit aggressive. He sells himself out, and that can cause himself a bit of trouble. But Van Dijk, in my opinion, I didn't notice any sort of pace from him early on, but I'm seeing a lot of aptitude in recovery, and that's nice to see. I mean, we are going to need a center half partnership going into the Champions League, especially. Think back to this time last season when Kelvin Wilson and F. Ambrose, their partnership was really coming into its own, and the effect that they had, especially going into those Barcelona games. If we can get Van Dijk and Ambrose on that same level as Wilson and Ambrose, I'll tell you, I would give ourselves just as much of a shot to win or at least finish second in our group. Yes, I am saying that every time it looks as if Celtic is outmatched, outgunned completely on paper. Neil Lennon comes up with something, and we saw a lot of tactical flexibility today, as I outlined a little bit earlier. That is very comforting to me, and long may it last. We're now joined by Vincent the Parrot, all the way from. Are you in the arm stump today, or are you in the leafy suburbs of Castle Milk?
Yeah, incognito. How you doing, Freddie G? What's happening?
Yeah. Not bad. Thanks for calling in, pal. What's the latest? I'm talking about. I'm shot out of a cannon. I'm talking about 6 different topics. But what you make of the game today?
Yeah, very good. I wasn't allowed to go. There was an email sent by the Lithuanian embassy saying if you've got any Lithuanian DNA, don't go near Tynecastle. They'll be emptying your wallet. So no, none of Team Monaghan were at the stadium today. The Sons of Donegal, my supporters bus went. They're not back for Edinburgh yet. I don't know if they're away to do a bit of royal intruding up the castle or something,
lifting up the pant legs and such.
Pyro some corgis' arses down the gardens or something, keeping it real. No, it was all good. Anthony Stokes unplayable. I just hope Neil Lennon's given the opportunity to reward him with a long-term contract. I mean, but we have with guys like Samaras and guys like Scott Brown and guys like Common. I know that like the fulcrum of our game is buying and selling players now, but if we have got players that are happy playing with us and they're at a good enough level, reward them, let them know that they're wanted and they can relax and perform like they did today.
Yeah, no question about it. Yeah. What do you make of Bo Richter? We saw a lot of plaudits being thrown out there for him. Early doors, it seemed as though he was caught in between two minds. He would hold onto the ball a bit too long, get closed down, and every time he goes to the ground, I gasp, or I just sort of cringe because the record, even though, it has been dispelled, the record that he is easily injured, you still, sort of worry about that, especially considering we don't have much cover in many different areas. I think that he's going to be a big player for us. But as the game went on, and especially when he went over to the right-hand side, it seemed as though he had his first option picked out before he received the ball, and our tempo increased substantially after that. What do you make of him?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it was at his debut when he only lasted 20 minutes, and there was a story going about, the Ajax fans called him the tampon in for a week out for free, Van Anderton as I call him. But no, I mean, fair play. I mean, I think it was evident today. I mean, big Virgil at the back was throwing it about, and it was good to see. Maybe something that we've not seen since a Martin O'Neill team is actually the big fella, big Van Anderton, and also wee Pookie when he come on, actually throwing it about a bit, because we are a big team. And you sort of seen the Hearts players, I think it was their number 8, who kept trying to noise up our players, and Robinson, I think his name was, and fair play to Scott Brown. He had a couple of nippy ones at Scott Brown when maybe 3 years ago Brown would have been over getting a needless booking for it, but Brown kept it cool and just sort of laughed at him, sort of thing. But no, it was all good. I mean, the main thing I was phoning up for, I don't know, obviously, the coverage yous guys get. Peter Grant was covering the game over here.
Yeah, it was BT. We got the same feed.
Okay, but it was quite interesting when they were saying that all John Barnes had seen Pookie years ago.
Yeah, he saw Pookie when he was born. He was in the delivery room.
Yeah, the black capello. Fat Sally, you're the worst football manager in Glasgow. Let's get Barnsley back. Get ambassador for the club. He was doing that, man.
Hey, listen, he brought in Mialby, so he can't be all that bad.
I'll say no more, mate. No, it was all good. I mean, nice to see, obviously. As I say, I enjoyed you and Paul's interview last week. I wonder if David Murray's jet will be getting brushed off as Lennon and the coaching staff fly into Milan this evening to see the game. But no, it was all good, mate. It's good times as a Celtic fan, I mean, reference MC and yourself made a couple of valid points. I mean, for me, reference the season ticket cabafo with the tickets. I mean, for me, the automatic reward is I go and see Celtic when I can, as often as I can, and the fact that I'm able to get my Champions League tickets on offer to me, before anybody else, for me is a bonus. I don't take anything for granted. I do feel quite. I don't agree with the policy of people being able to go in and buy 4 additional packages. The people that there was guys like we Paddy come over and we went to the Cliftonville game. There's maybe people who can afford to go maybe to one of the qualifying games, and maybe they should be given a voucher or they should be registered when they put their details into the ticket office saying they attended these games.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think I'd like to see maybe a percentage of the tickets actually being sold to people who attended the free first qualifying games, not as a free match package, but the ability to say, well, 1,000 of you who went to that game can go to like an individual one.
Yeah,
for me,
exactly. That makes sense.
There's not been enough vocal from either the big shots on Twitter who sit there quite comfortably at the club, or radical nutters like myself, who we haven't questioned the fact that how many tickets have Thompson's been given by Celtic, and nobody's questioned that. I was on their website when the tickets went on sale. I said in Big G show last night, and miraculously, Graham, the £179 package for the hotel ticket out of your hotel sort of vanished. So people who could afford that could afford a season ticket. That's what I'm getting,
Yeah. The take I have on it, I mean, obviously, look, I agree with a lot of people where you don't want to put all of the seats on the open market, because then you get these glory hunters that they only want to go to the big games, and it's all swish, as you would say, and they don't want to turn up for the midweek cup games or even the standard SPL games. I get that, but in the interest of letting 10 guilty men go before you'd lock up one innocent man, I don't want to close out everybody who can't afford a season book but would like to go to just one Champions League, because we want to shut out all the glory hunters. And by limiting it just to season book holders to get these packages doesn't prevent glory hunters from showing up. That's the thing. I don't like this cynical mentality going towards fellow supporters.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there was a mindset when the bad old days when Murray International medals ruined Scottish football, people would just buy a season ticket on the strength for getting the 2 Glasgow derbies at Celtic Park. I know lads that worked offshore, and they were quite comfortable in the fact, well, So if the Glasgow Derby at Celtic Park was when they were offshore, they knew they could get their ticket sold for, say, £60. And they would look at saying, well, it's giving somebody a ticket for the game they can't make it, and it's helping them recoup it their season ticket. And obviously those games are long gone now, thank God. But no, I mean, I'd have liked to have seen. I mean, you've got to congratulate the club because they introduced through, with very little advertisement, this fervent thing of, oh my God, we've got to get tickets for these matches, and had people queuing up from midnight, and I awoke yesterday and sort of seen my Twitter, like people saying, oh, yeah, they've got pink tickets, and Peter Lawwell's going down holding out cups of tea, mate, But guaranteed it wouldn't be fucking Mellow Birds knowing that rat, but that's another story.
Parrot, one topic that you brought up here, and I appreciate you bringing that up, that was a reaction to the interview with Paul Larkin last weekend. It's already one of the most listened to interviews on Hail Hail Media, one of the most listened to shows on Hail Hail Media so far. And, there's obviously a reason to that. It absolutely caught fire. I mean, the folks who listened to it live were obviously captivated, spread the word, and there's a message here. And I've read the book 3 times already, and I'm telling you, every time it gets your blood boiling. It's almost reassuring in a way, and it's vindicating, certainly. But what we saw this week, I think, is a direct correlation with Jim Spence I'm talking about now, where the abuse that he took for just stating a fact. And many people are asking, why did the media never come upon all of this information that Paul Larkin himself, he just went out, he went to company's house, he started digging around, asking some very basic questions, with some folks. And he has access to sources that, have a unique insight to all this. It didn't take much. If you have the journalistic resources and the access that, say, the folks at the BBC or STV or The Record or wherever else, if you have access to that, they should have been doing this years ago, decades ago, if not. And you ask the question, why wasn't that taking place? The proof in that is, look at the abuse that Jim Spence got this past week for just stating a fact, the fact that Rangers is dead. They're a new club. They have a new chairman coming in that's rejoining the new club. And all of a sudden he takes abuse. There's threats on his life. He goes for a walk with his wife, and he gets, him and his wife get abuse for it. There's abuse all over Twitter. And do any of his peers, do any of his colleagues come to his defense? No, they apologize. They appease, the filth and the vile and the vitriol coming from, the supporters of this establishment, and the pantomime coming out of Ibrox. I mean, it's absolutely laughable from an outsider's perspective, but you see exactly why. There's just a complete lack of courage. There's a complete lack of audacity. There's just this chicken shit mentality of all the journalists. Jim Spence finally steps up, and fair play to him. It's heroic, and it shouldn't be looked on as heroic. He's just doing his job. But the amount of abuse that he gets, it's sickening. And the fact is, he's not going to back down from it, and neither is Paul Larkin. And when the reaction comes out from this, there are going to be waves of people stepping up to give him abuse. I just, what do you make of this Jim Spence sort of saga? The BBC winds up with egg all over their face. Well, they're going to apologize. Well, maybe they're not. Well, then they're going to have a meeting, and how are we going to handle this? I mean, it's absolutely laughable.
I think, firstly, I remember tweeting just as you and Paul went live last week. I think people actually forget how vital that platforms like yourself, all the guys in Hail Hail Media, Big Free the G show, our Tommy the Scamp floating about Glasgow in his taxi. That the platforms are there. People, these are open to debate. People putting blogs out and then hiding behind them. There's no interaction. Whereas, your show last week, people come on it and they can. There's a lot you can say in 140 characters, G, and there's a lot you can't by the way you deliver it, by the way of speech. Well reference said. Jim yep. Spence, Jim, and gentlemen like Stuart Cosgrove. All they have done from the start is told the truth. They've not put any spin on it. They've been very honest about it. I believe Jim Spence. I remember about 18 months ago, I called him the Ginger Chet Young on Twitter, I felt embarrassed about calling him that at the time, Hell, men, I still owe the poor guy a pint for that. and you see 20 years of curtailing. We look now at the fact that a certain gentleman working for a certain new club is releasing statements, and there's a supporters. I mean, they don't know where to go because there's guys being paid £200,000. There's a former Daily Record employee being paid £100,000 to spin stuff. And if you're paying £300,000 for a product to confuse people, you're going to success in Scotland. The thing with Paul is I think it's very evident. The only time I listened to Radio Clyde in the last 18 months is when Alex Thompson came up, who doesn't know really much about Scottish football. He was a Newcastle fan. He went into the SSB studios and he just blew it open. There's a mindset. There's the gentleman who's the Inverness fan who writes for the Evening Times, and it's just, for me personally, there's a generation now of people in Glasgow and Scotland who they used to buy a newspaper going to work in the morning, Graham, and that's the only interaction they have with what's actually been relevant and what's happening in sport. They might come in at 6 o'clock, get their dinner, and that's it. They've never listened to a podcast in their life. But with the Daily Record and the Sun's readership going down 15% at the last poll, it shows you that this is a thing that's dying out. And hopefully, as you say, what Paul's book will show is how bad it actually is in Scotland. You know, I mean, it's everybody thinking that the press are just like the organ or the monkeys for the organ grinders. It goes a lot higher than that, mate. So no, I'm really looking forward to it, and it's guys like Paul. You know, there's very few. There's guys you'll read their blogs or whatever, and with Larkin's work, you know, the only thing that lets Paul do, and he lives on the wrong side of Scotland, mate, you know, and he doesn't drink vinegar like what the righteous folk do in Scotland, you know. But
I'll leave that to the masses to debate.
But at least with Paul's not got an agenda. For me, he just worries about the Celtic support and Celtic as a club. He can walk into that ground, you know, very embarrassed, and there's people who make a living and maybe get court favour from Celtic by portraying a certain line or doing a certain thing, and that's fair enough if you want to do. I mean, I'm just a guy who pays homage to a nutter who wore a feathered suit in the jungle 25 years ago, mate. You know, and I just go and support my team, and it's all good, mate. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing you when you come over. And if he's listening, as I said in Jerry's show last night, send my love to Big Yampy and all his family. You know what I mean? In these bad times, mate. So although I'm a Mets fan, I might have to get over there and catch a Phillies game with you. You know, don't tell the Mets boys that. I'll get strung up for
forget
it,
the Mets. Forget the Mets and their Mets boys, and you know they're royal blue and orange colors. I don't understand the affinity there. But we'll take you to a Phillies game. We'll take care of you. We'll get you a cheesesteak. You know, we'll get you some crab fries and a Yingling. You know, you can eat like a king and you know, forget the boys up in Queens. How's that?
That sounds outstanding, mate. But no, listen, looking forward to getting back and listening to the show. I reference the pyro debate, mate. As I've said in other shows, I'm licensed to actually operate pyro.
Well, you know what? I'm glad that you brought that up. That's a good point. Listen, I don't have a problem with pyro. I have a problem with idiots with pyro. I have a problem with people with pyro with an arrogant, sort of ignorant standpoint. You know that look, I get it. It's young men who are of the mindset that they're not going to be told what to do. I get it. Okay, but don't endanger fellow supporters in doing it. Don't be stupid. You're licensed to operate pyro, right? You know what to do, what not to do. Operate it in a way that is considerate to people around you, and just don't be stupid. Don't throw it into a crowd and potentially burn somebody. That's my only thing.
Did you see somebody put up a fantastic 4-minute montage of Lubo Moravcik playing in France in the 80s or the East 90s? Did you see that?
No, but I loved him.
4 minutes of him playing against Marseille, etc. And it was at his, I think it was Bastille he was with at the time. And you look into the crowd, and maybe the ground's about the size of Fir Park. And even then in the mid-90s, the pyrotechnics, as in the flares, were being used, Graham. You know, I mean, I've never touched a pyro in my life. For me, even the 5th of November, which is for us, it's like an anti-Catholic celebration. The great Guy Fawkes field and blowing up all the rascals, you know. So I totally condone it at all. If they want rid of pyrotechnics, ban them for Scotland. You know, they've banned smoking in the street, or banned smoking in bars. Just get rid of a lot of it, and I'll be happy, mate. You know.
I mean, this is a tough subject for me because I'm not of the mindset where we need to start banning this and banning that. But when it gets to the point where there's such an arrogance and ignorance of like, you're not going to tell me what to do. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to have a complete disregard for people around me, and if they get burnt, we'll fuck them. I'm sorry, that doesn't hold water with me. We got to be smarter about this. If you're going to light off the pyro, don't burn other people. Put it on the ground, put it out. Just be smart. Don't be stupid. And then, to show no remorse for somebody that got burned. I mean, I can't get with that.
It's an unfortunate thing for it as me, is that it gives certain governing bodies a certain sort of leg in to do what they want about it, and they fail to realise that. You look at we've had a recent events, a concerts yesterday, recently in Glasgow, M&M, Kings of Leon. You look at Reading, you look at the Glastonbury Festival, which is a bit like your Kachia, and there's pyro everywhere, G. Mm-hmm. So it's not just a football thing. You look at the crowd last week at the boxing, heavily drinking, probably get more chemicals in them than fucking City at the moment, rolling about with each other and all that.
Let's bomb them!
Don't you start that Amsterdam Drumchapel will be fucking heaming up, but it just suits them at the moment it just gives them another arrow to attack supporters, and most definitely because we're the biggest team in Scotland, so they're going to get us. But
Parrot, you're talking about going on Jerry's show last night, and he had Tommy on, who's campaigning to fight against the fans against fight on behalf of the fans against criminalization, fight against the offensive behavioral at football bill. But when you see the purveyors, the Christine Grahams and such, who have come out with this ridiculous bill, that are targeting football supporters and specifically Celtic supporters. Let's be honest. They are looking for opportunities such as today, where bangers are lit off, where people are injured, and that makes Tommy's job a lot harder. If we're going to say that we can't play Rebel tunes on our shows because, we don't want to hold Tommy's campaign back, then what the hell are we doing supporting people throwing off pyros and injuring fellow supporters? That's just as, pardon the pun, incendiary for the Christine Grahams and et al. Who are fighting to uphold this offensive behavior bill. They're going to point to that and say, "See, we were right. These are a bunch of scoundrels and they need to be controlled." I don't understand. Why? There's such a drawing to the pyro. That we have to defend the pyro. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but when you're going to cause problems, for the club and for yourself and for fellow supporters, what's so hard to understand? I don't get it. We're all trying to fight for the same things, and we make it harder for ourselves.
Oh, yes, I totally agree. But obviously, thank goodness I've not seen on my timeline. Certainly, I've not seen anybody blame Section 111 for today's pyro.
Exactly. Very good point.
And anybody can go online and anybody can buy a banger. And I'd like to say,
very good point.
To my best knowledge, that's the first injury. And I'm not condoning it because it's appalling somebody getting injured at any football game. You go to a game safe and you want to come home safe. But, the people... I've been at games and there's been the difference has got to be pyrotechnic to me is a parachute flare, a flare that burns at 2,000 degrees, or you get a smoke canister, and these smoke canisters are put off all right. They may get to quite a high temperature once they're discharged, but apart from people might have breathing problems. I've talked to guys who are in wheelchairs, who are on oxygen, who have absolutely no problem with pyrotechnics, as in the smoke side of it. But somebody who throws a banger today and it's caused somebody an injury, as little as it big, you don't deserve that, And I'm no impressed with that sort of side. Everybody knows the parrot loves the pyro, but I don't like to see somebody getting injured going, and as I say, it's one of those things, and it's not just a Celtic thing. It's around Scotland culture, whether it be a football game now, whether it be in a boxing event, whether it be a concert. But as you say, Graham, it unfortunately gives fuel and it deflects the argument that Tommy hopefully is going to get when he wins the by-election in government coming up.
Yep. Yeah. Very well said. Parrot, thanks for joining us. We got a whole host of people who want to call in and tell me how much rubbish I talk, but. A pleasure as always to talk to you. I'm looking forward to seeing you.
I've got a few people hopefully want to meet you when you come over south of the river. We'll get you away for that poisonous West End, get you to the Green Mile. I'll take you to Chaz Duffy's old taunts where he still owes money.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I'll have to pay.
Bring your platinum card. Right, Chief, I'll talk to you soon, Cap. Will be good. Hail.
Cheers. Oh. That's the Parrot getting in touch. Always a good discussion with him. and always good to catch up with him. So looking forward to, as he mentioned, I'm coming back over. If we haven't communicated that since, in November, I'll be there for the Aberdeen home game and the AC Milan home game. I'm going to be landing at noon on Saturday, driving directly to Celtic Park, and then after that, I might keel over and die of exhaustion. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'll get plenty of Red Bull, and I don't know. Maybe they can maybe I can hold up some pyro. Maybe that'll give me some energy. I don't know. And then I'm flying out the day after the AC Milan game, which would be the day before our Thanksgiving here in America. And I'll probably be giving thanks that I'm still alive. We're now joined by James. James, hello, thanks so much for joining us today. What are your thoughts, pal?
I've just a couple of thoughts. Thanks for Stevie the Parrot's great talk again. He's very good and I liked his stuff. Now I was at the game today, so I've got a couple of things to say if it's okay.
Yep.
About the threats and the Paul's book launch and things like that. But I'll go with the game today. Excellent today. Really enjoyed it. The only weak point I thought was the fullbacks getting caught out. Izaguirre as usual, but I just thought...
You thought Izaguirre was bad?
I thought Izaguirre getting caught out quite a lot today.
Yeah. I thought he was good.
Yeah, I thought the two centre-halves were absolutely brilliant, Virgil and Ambrose.
Yeah.
Stokes, again, absolutely fantastic. Thought Brown had a good game. We lost the place one bit the beginning of the second half. They scored, but after that, it was all one way, even before that, and I was just absolutely delighted. The result of the day, I think we looked brilliant. Pookie looked very strong. He put one of your defenders over the byline, which was good to show him that he was there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be fantastic at dealing with the physicality of the Scottish game, and I don't think he's going to have any problem getting closed down, very quickly. That's the main concern that I have when we see players coming in from foreign shores, especially continental Europe. How are they going to deal with the lack of time they're going to have on the ball? I don't think Pookie's going to have any problems at all. I loved it. He comes on, he smacks around a couple of Hearts players, then he scores a goal. That'll do me.
Yeah, Sammy was great too, but I noticed at half time. When the other players went in, he stayed out in the pitch, with one of the trainers, just working with the ball and that, which I thought was quite good. It's good that, get Sammy and people like Pookie and Stokes running at these defenders. It must be very frightening for them, which is good.
No question.
Hearts fans are scum anyway.
Yeah.
But enjoyed today, absolutely brilliant, really, really happy. That's 3 away games that were supposed to be tricky. Aberdeen, Tannadice, and today I was at the 3 of them, and absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, and I think that what we're seeing is a maturation. We many people are pointing out the maturation of Anthony Stokes after this game, and rightfully so. This is something that I've seen that I've sort of put a lot of the extemporaneous stuff that he's blamed for or taken down a notch for some of the off-field antics. I've really tried to focus on what he's brought to the side when he's fit, when he's in the side, when he's playing, especially in that partnership with Hooper. I've seen it all along. But what I'm impressed at is since Hooper's left, he's just gone from strength to strength, and it seems as though no matter who he's paired up with, he makes them better. He not only puts away chances, but he creates for the players around him, and that's what's exceptional to see. If we're not going to have a poacher that's going to be in there and put away chances, and we had plenty of those chances today that we couldn't quite seem to put away, especially in the first half. If we don't have that type of player, we're going to need somebody that can do something truly special. And Anthony Stokes, I see. My eyes don't deceive me, and what I'm seeing is that he's turning into that sort of creative spark player. It's just a matter of how much of that can we translate over to these European ties, and will he get the opportunity? With that, I also want to point out the fact that we're seeing a maturation, in my opinion, of Neil Lennon as a manager, as a tactician, especially. I think that we saw a regression to a certain extent at certain points last season, especially in the SPL, with the exit of Alan Thompson. I think that it was talked about early doors after Alan Thompson leaving, but I don't think it's really been talked about enough how much Alan Thompson brought to this side, especially that first season or the first couple of seasons when he was with Celtic, in terms of I don't think so much in terms of training, but in terms of the tactics, in terms of adjustments that were being made. I think Alan Thompson had a huge role in that. And sometimes it seemed as though, especially in the run into the end of the season last year, we tended to get a bit one-dimensional. And what we're seeing from Neil Lennon, especially over these past several weeks, is a willingness to adapt and to adjust. We saw a different formation that was set out today, which I think is going to be the preferred formation for Neil Lennon going forward. Obviously, Neil Lennon made some comments at the end of the transfer window that might let us suspect or assume that he didn't get all of the players and all of the types of players that he was looking for. And my challenge to him at that point was he's going to need to evolve. He's going to need to evolve as a manager to still be able to get results in spite of not having that poacher in the box. And he's also going to have to speed up his development of some of these young players and bringing them through, especially with the fact that Tony Watt's gone off on loan. I think what we saw today was, the evolution of several different formations. We tried a couple things. They didn't work, but he was quick to shuffle them around. I think it's good that we have some players that are extremely flexible. They can play on different parts of the pitch at different times, and that opens up his options too. But he's learning how to play that well. It seems though he has the system. He has the players that he wants to play in that system, and they've bought in, and it's exciting to watch.
I mean, maybe we play in Europe without an out-and-out striker now and just have, as you were saying, flexible players who can run back and forward and run and hold the ball rather than having a defender be back to the defence holding on to the ball. Maybe that's, something he's going to try, because obviously apart from Baldi, whatever his name is, he's holds the ball, but maybe he's not going to play him in Europe, and you'll just have these out and out strikers, running with the ball, but not have an out and out striker.
Well, think back to your point. Think back to the Barcelona game at home. Who do we have leading the line that day? Miku. I wouldn't necessarily call him an out and out poaching, goal scoring striker. So to that extent, that might be the lesson. That might be the template and the example going forward. Who knows? But what I saw from Lennon today, and especially from the players, it seems as though they're all in with this. They've bought into the system and they're committed to it. It's exciting to see. It's a sharp contrast from this point last season when we were having issues dealing with Hibbs and St. Johnson, and things were looking a bit uncertain going into that first Champions League tie at home to Benfica. I think we're definitely on the balls of our feet and going forward. Going from strength to strength again, so I'm really looking forward to Wednesday against Milan. What are your thoughts? Going up, I mean, this is a Milan team. We haven't really talked about this just yet. I want to get your thoughts. This is a Milan team that, the talent, but they are not the same Milan team, even from a couple of years ago. I think that they're in a bit of a transition. Not to say, Mario Balotelli is one of the classiest strikers on planet Earth. Let's not kid ourselves. And, he doesn't miss penalties. So, that's certainly going to be a weapon of theirs. El Shaarawy, who's come out and very publicly, stated that Milan are going to shred Celtic, which, he's got a thigh strain, so he can't even play. Their goalkeeper Abate is out. They have several key injuries that are going to limit them, but they still have loads of quality throughout the park. But this is a Celtic side that I think can stand toe to toe with pretty much any team in Europe.
I think it's the unknown, really getting into the unknown. Like last year we didn't think we would do much. And we qualified for the last 16. Okay, then it fell flat after that, but it could happen again. We don't know with this team again. It looked good today, but you don't know how we're going to play against the elite. And the thing is about me is, obviously I wanted to do well, but I wouldn't be disappointed if we didn't do well, because where we've came from, and obviously I've paid my money for my Champions League package, and you want us to do well, but
sure,
it's a hard one with me. I mean, people saying they aren't as strong. Are they really? I mean, we've lost kind of like the spine of the team, and Neil Lennon's had to fix the team again, and hopefully after today, hopefully there's no injuries after the game, and we do something. He's going to play people that are going to run back and run forward and not have an out-and-out striker. That may work. Big Virgil, as I said, absolutely brilliant today.
Yeah, I think we got a player.
Ambrose, I was a bit worried with defensively, because the last couple of games he's been good when there's no really attacking him, but he played very well, very arrogant. There was one time where they let the Hearts player slide in and they just let the ball go by and made a fool of him near the end. I don't know. To me, it's the unknown. I don't know how we're going to perform in the big night away from home. At home we're going to have this brilliant crowd.
Sure.
And you don't know how they're going to play. So it's really unknown to me. I'm just getting my fingers crossed and hoping
Yeah, well, the one thing that you point out, and with Ambrose specifically, obviously he has unfinished business, pertinent to the Champions League. I was there. Again, I saw it with my own eyes. It was 50 feet away from me. Ambrose absolutely made a mess of the Juventus tie at home, the first leg. And I think that, we can go in two separate directions with this. I mean, I would hope that F. Ambrose has thought about that. And it keeps him up at night, thinking about that night and thinking about what happened. And then, in the second leg, he made a mess of that as well, not turning up in time to catch the bus to the park or something or other. And he really hadn't been himself in the run into the end of the season. I think that he does have a tendency to get caught out sometimes. And as was stated earlier, I think that Van Dijk does a nice job cleaning up his messes to a certain extent, but I think that he takes care of him. Ambrose does a lot of good work. Let's not kid ourselves. He can bring the ball out of defense. He can pick a pass. So I'm not ready to completely slag him off and call for someone to come in and replace him. I mean, this is the same center half that put Leo Messi in his pocket twice. So there is a player in there. It's just a matter of getting it out of him. But with that, Alexandre Matri, who went from Juventus, who obviously just completely tore Ambrose to shreds last February. He now plays for AC Milan. I'm looking for Ambrose to make this sort of his clarion call, to put everything right, to have another opportunity, to have another chance. That's what I'm looking for, a big game from F. Ambrose and really be disciplined. That's really the thing that everybody sees from him. He has a tendency to sell himself out a bit too early. He gets caught out and puts, our back line in very dangerous positions. If he can be disciplined and he can keep it tight at the back and really partner with Van Dijk to limit the opportunities that AC Milan are going to have, I think we're going to have a great chance of not just getting a point, but actually winning.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the two at the centre at the back today, Virgil and Ambrose, did well, not just in the centre but covering up at the sides too. Thought they done very good, and as I said, I'm just pleased. Normally I come on these podcasts as a doom and gloom merchant, but just so delighted.
No, that's
today.
not me.
No, it's me.
I'm Mr. Happy.
Yeah, I'm usually Mr. Happy. Well, I'm very sarcastic as my humour, but
I just
thought we were to go to there. I mean, I refused to go to Tynecastle for years.
Yeah.
The last time I went, I think we won 2-0, and Hartley missed a penalty for us, and they had a big banner saying something about Hoopy and kids, right? And I refused to go back.
Yeah.
I went today and thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, they were singing some awful songs about Jimmy Savo and us today.
Sure, absolutely. And that's
just to get
standard
it right
for
up
them.
was good.
Yeah, no question about it. And who knows? I mean, it might be one of the last opportunities you'll get to go to Tynecastle. So it's good that you got the it's good that you got the opportunity.
The other one I was going to go into was if it's okay to move on from the game today, is just the threats that Jim spends now. If you look at it a way back when you had the banners against Nakamura, Ate My Dog, that the Huns had at Parkhead, then you had the bullets, then you had the threats with Paul McBride and the MP, Neil Lennon being attacked several times, Niall McGuinn. It's actually becoming traditional.
Oh yeah,
for people
it's
to
accepted.
be threatened off them.
It's accepted. And then they sing in their grounds. How does it feel how does it feel to live in fear? That's what they're saying in the grounds. So not only is it accepted, but it's celebrated. It's disgusting.
Yeah. It's like their orange walks, as fascist walks. It's like traditional. And I just think somebody has to grow a set and challenge it. I mean, to me, Jim Spence has been left, in his cell by his work colleagues.
Yeah, because everybody else is too chicken shit to stand up for what's right.
Yeah. Now, I would like to think if it was any of our fans constantly having a go. I mean, I was having a go at people at Tannadice for having a go at Goodwillie, the abuse he was getting, and I says, hold on a minute, you don't like it when Jock Stein gets it.
Yeah.
A good name, but yet you're willing to give somebody else who, again, has been found not guilty of any sexual things, but you're giving him abuse, we as bad as a Hun, some is.
Yeah.
Obviously away games, I'm not defending it, I hate it, I feel a drink, but I just think it's this. If we were doing all these death threats, I can assure you it would have been sorted.
Oh, no question. Yeah, there'd be people lifted. There would be a full expose. It would be in the press. It'd be in the media. No questions asked. But the fact that it entails the establishment club and the fear that pervades throughout the Scottish media. And it's even, it's ironic that you see tweets from the STV horde, talking about what has journalism come to when Jim Spence, can't walk down the street, without getting abused. Well, I don't see anybody stepping and writing an op-ed piece defending him or asking what exactly he's done wrong. Sending out a tweet saying, oh, it's not right that he's getting abused. Step up, have some courage, do your job, which is journalism. No, nobody's doing that. That's the problem.
Yeah, I wouldn't talk to guys like Jim Traynor, but I wouldn't give him abuse and threaten him in the streets. There's a couple of the ones I quite like some of their stuff, and BBC Scotland, Sports Sound and that. But I wouldn't be going out to give them abuse. If I didn't like them, I just wouldn't speak to them. It'd be stupid to threaten them, especially somebody and his wife there. You've got Neil Lennon attacked several times. It could go on, Paddy McCourt, Niall McGuinn, it goes on and on and on. And it's about times the media grew a set and took this on, because somebody's going to get seriously injured because they think they can get away with it. Lucky Neil Lennon, he was knocked out at one time.
Yeah.
And even when he got attacked at Tynecastle before, all you heard was it was Neil Lennon's fault.
Right. Yeah, he brings it on himself. He brings,
and you're like, for fuck's sake, man, come on.
Yeah. No, he brings it on himself, and he's an inflammatory character, and his behavior on the touchline, it invites the attacks and the crowd. Please, seriously, we're talking about a man's life, and all he's doing is he's just doing his job. He's a football manager. He doesn't make any policy, and he doesn't affect you. He's a football manager, and he just happens to be Catholic, and he just happens to be Irish, and that's the crux of the problem. That's the thing that people can't get their head around. The fact that there's a successful Irish Catholic who's running riot all over the SPL. They can't handle it, and that's the issue here. Somebody needs to have the courage to highlight this, but they don't, because they don't want to have themselves being inconvenienced. So what happens? This responsibility is left up to people like the Celtic fanzines and the Celtic blogs and the podcasts and people like Paul Larkin, who are they're just Celtic supporters. They're just normal people that have to go out and do this research and have the courage and say, you know what, you can bring all your lawyers, you can bring all your tweets, you can bring all your threats, but you're not going to take away my courage and my desire to have the truth out there. And to expose the truth. And that is heroic. And I hope that Jim Spence doesn't back down from this. And it seems as though he's not so far. And he needs, I was glad to see Aberdeen supporters, put together a banner, saying we're all Jim Spence, because we all should be Jim Spence. We all should show the amount of courage that it takes to stand up for just facts, just the truth, just standing up for not having to toe the party line so that cheats can continue to fester on and to unjustly get things that they're not entitled to. It's beyond ridiculous.
It reminds me of when I was younger, growing up. I'm an atheist myself, brought up, kind of try to bring me up Catholic, and the abuse that we used to get, because we were from an Irish background, and these people, they remind me of the whites in South Africa, the Afrikaans, the racists. And they were the people, and all of a sudden they're not the people anymore, right? And they can't handle it, and it just becomes a lashing out with threats and threats and threats. I don't care now. They can call me a Fenian bastard. I am a Fenian bastard.
I know, I'm proud of it.
I don't care. Call me what they want. As I said, I'm not religious at all. I'm an atheist, but
I don't believe
I just think it's. I wouldn't like to think that there was people out there because we're Protestants getting harassed because we're Protestants or because we're Muslim, Sikh, Hindu, whatever, Jewish. It's not on. But this mob, as you know, as we were saying before, they're getting away with it time and time and time and time and time. And I could go on again. It's been happening for so long now. It's as I said, it's becoming traditional.
I'm telling you.
Because they keep talking about their traditional rights. This will be part of their traditional rights.
Let me tell you something. There is a formative sea change that is about to take place, and the Jim Spence situation, I think, is just the tip of the iceberg. This situation with Jim Spence, it's opening up, not just the BBC's eyes, and I mean, you want to talk about spineless. They've made a complete mess of this whole thing. But you're seeing other journalists throughout Scotland saying, even if they're on the other side of this divide, they're saying this is wrong. That this man, agree or disagree, he shouldn't be abused, for saying these things. And it's not inflammatory what he said. It's not offensive. He's not, insulting anybody. He's stating a fact, and whether or not you like it is not a license for you to go and abuse him. And I think that as more and more people take notice of this, and you add in the fact that I'm telling you, this book that Paul Arkin is about to release, The Asterisk Years, is going to cause so much shame to the whole journalistic cabal that has taken root in Scotland. There's going to be so many questions that come out of this book asking, why could you not have done this? This is elemental, just superficial stuff. That doesn't take a whole lot of digging to find. It takes a little bit of work, but it takes courage, in order to do this. And it shouldn't. And it shouldn't. I think that we're on the cusp of something, an awakening. That the media is complicit, that there is an establishment that is uniting to affect things, in an unnatural way, and it's disgusting, the whole thing.
It should never have got to this stage in the first fucking place. As we know, it should have been dealt with years ago. But part of the establishment, the media, the funny handshake people, whatever you want to call them, they've sat silent, not saying a word, because they're complicit with a lot of it, with their silence. A lot of them are probably believing it, and that's what I'm going to go into Paul's book. I'm going to the book launch, Graham. So if you're there, I'll buy you a Diet Coke or something. Because I don't drink, believe it or not. So, but the thing about Paul, and I was going to phone in the Homeboys last week, but I'll end up he was speaking about, and I'll leave it. But I was just saying to him, I know he's under a lot of stress with the book and things like that, but I'm just telling him to keep his head up and don't let the bastards win. He's not alone here in this fight. He's got everybody, not just, I think, even though it's aimed at Celtic fans for this, but the fight against the bigotry and you're supposed to crop your eye down. We're fighting back against it. And, I just hope when the book launch will be successful anyway, and once it's becomes successful, they'll have a weight off his shoulder and they can relax. Because they'll probably obviously the stress leading up to this. Is there anything going to happen? Is the book going to be pulled or blah, blah, blah? And I think hopefully there'll be stress release from him when the book launch happens that night, and he sees, because I think it's sold out, he said, when he sees the backing that he has. Hopefully that'll, tide will turn there. And if Aberdeen fans are holding up banners, which is good today, I didn't know that, thanks for telling me. And there's a backlash against Jim Spence, it can all come together and stop this shite. Because I wouldn't stand back and let Celtic fans do the same to people, because they think they're elitist. It's not on. But then again, we've had this for what? The Irish community, or the descendants have had this for hundreds of years in this country. As I said before, it's become traditional, unfortunately, for these people.
Enough is enough. It's time to stop. It's time to say enough, and we're not going to be intimidated anymore. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, I agree. Just look at it with the police on, let's say, 111, which I'm a section member of 111, and you see over the years the tactics we've had against us, just even at Celtic Park, and you look at other games, other teams, and it's totally different, Mm-hmm. And I just think that we're the target, not just the Green Brigade and I'm in 111, us in 111, it's the Celtic fans they want badly. And obviously the Green Brigade are seen as a catalyst for the voice of Celtic fans by them, and they want to smash it. And they just want us to be quiet, croppies lie down. And good for them, they're the only one of the sets of fans that's had the balls to stand up. The other mob down the road have laid down over this new law. I'm just laughing at they go to the game today and what's happening on their board, and they're not even protesting to find out why. They've laid down again.
Heads in the sand. I
don't want to go on about them, but just putting it a bit of context here, that I think we are seen as a danger because the Huns are not the people anymore that they thought they were. and everybody fucking hates them.
And they never were.
A level playing field now,
Yep.
and they're getting their own back. Not just us, other teams too. Your Aberdeens, Dun United, Hibs, the lot, and they don't like it. But all fucking tough because we've had it for years.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. James, thanks so much for calling in. We got a bunch
Not
of
a
people.
problem, mate. You take care.
Cheers. We'll talk to you
Bye.
soon. Hail, hail. That's James calling in, 111 section member, frequent caller to the show, and unique perspective from the game today at Tynecastle. Obviously, we know the filth that we're always going to be exposed to going to Tynecastle, and they never cease to amaze. And hopefully, the next couple of visits to Tynecastle will be our last. And hopefully, this will be their last season in the SPL or the SPFL or the USFL or whatever the hell it is. Scottish top flight. The sooner they go down and crumble into the abyss, the better. They can join their cousins from Glasgow. We're now joined by Snake Plissken all the way from Snake. Do you have your speakers up? I'm getting a little bit of feedback.
Really? Hang on a second. I'll just
A little bit.
sort that out.
I don't like the sound of my own voice.
How's that?
Yes. Yeah, it's fantastic. Snake's joining us all the way from the friendly confines of Slovakia. Snake, hail, thanks so much for calling in.
Hail, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm walking on sunshine. Let me explain something. It started on Monday, okay? The Philadelphia Eagles, they're coming into this season. It's my NFL team. I'm from Philadelphia, right? Here comes a rant, so just bear with me. Sure. Philadelphia Eagles come into this season, NFL. They're not looking too good. They fired their fat coach from last year, who was with the team for about 13 years, and all he wanted to do was pass. He never wanted to run the ball. The defense had gone to complete tatters. They lost the last 9 games of their season. I mean, it's just an absolute. It was pathetic. So they wind up getting this college guy who rejected them the first time they went in to try and hire him. Comes back a week later and says, all right, fine, we'll take it. But he's got this crazy offense. And, all they do is pass the ball. They don't even stop for a break. They throw it to the official, and bam, they just want the defense to be as tired as possible. Well, they go out, and they run up a lead 33-7 against the Washington Redskins. They got Robert Griffin III, who's supposed to be the second coming of Christ, except for the fact that he's coming off his second ACL injury. So, he comes back, has an awful first half or whatever, plays a decent second half, but the Eagles still win. Fantastic. Start my week off perfectly. Then the U.S. goes up against Mexico. They lost against Costa Rica last Friday. There's all sorts of, trials and tribulations. There's all sorts of questions. They get 3 of their key players suspended for this game, out on injury, and then there's injuries as well. So they come in and they're playing against Mexico, who just fired their manager. They're coming in. They need to get a result. They're desperate. They're on the cusp of not even qualifying for the World Cup. What does the U.S. do? 2-0, as they typically do in Columbus. Fantastic stuff. I'm 2 for 2, and it's only Tuesday. So then we go Wednesday. I go to the Damian Dempsey concert in Washington, D.C. Fantastic. It was beautiful. Thursday and Friday, I'm just trying to get through the work week, and then we go and pump hearts today. So to answer your question, Snake, I'm doing fantastic.
That's fantastic. Wonderful. I'm doing okay too.
Tell me about. Well, did you have a chance to see the game today? What were your thoughts? What were your impressions? We saw Pookie, get a run out, and then we saw more of a couple of the new other players, Bo Richter and Van Dyke. Van Dyke seems to be getting universal applause for his performance today. What did you make?
I enjoyed it. I saw the game on Celtic TV and had a good time watching it. I thought Celtic played very intelligent football. There were times in the first half that I thought, this game is like Hearts sitting back an awful lot. Breaking them down was a bit difficult, but once we actually got into it, once the penalty came, then Hearts had to open up, and the game became a better game because Hearts came into the game. Yeah. And then obviously one each, you're like, oh, for God's sake. And then it just looked for about 10 minutes that maybe this game could have went either way, and then Stokes came up with an incredible finish.
Oh, no question.
And then that third goal was just out of this world.
I mean, what he did to create that was exceptional. Take nothing away from Pookie with the finish. I mean, he was exactly where he needed to be and did exactly what he needed to do. But Stokes, I mean, getting past the first player was enough. I mean, he takes it down to the byline. I would have been happy with a corner, but I mean, scooping it like that, with the wheat chip, flicks it, and then Pookie puts it away. I mean, it was poetic. It couldn't have gone any better.
A new hero was born. That's it. I mean, Stokes has always had a great ability, but he hasn't always shown it. Especially, I think Stokes has played very, very well for Celtic since he came, but he hasn't always had the best game on a consistent run. But now he looks like he's going to be the main man this year.
He's going to have to be.
And he's really, really rising to it. He's going to continue being the best striker we have, out-and-out striker. He's going to create a lot of goals for people as well.
Yep.
And if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have been in the Champions League, in my opinion. So
No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
well,
Yeah, no question about it. Now looking ahead to this Milan game, I'm sure that you get an opportunity to watch more of these continental games and see some of these players that are going to be playing for Milan. What are your expectations going into this game? I mean, obviously, there's differing scales. The way I look at it, I'm not trying to blow sunshine or anything like that, but I've bet against Neil Lennon far too many times. I've learned my lesson. When it seems as though the cards are stacked as much as they possibly can against Celtic, against Neil Lennon, he comes up with some bit of magic. These days when I get concerned is when we're going up against some side that we're supposed to just absolutely blow over, like Shakhtar Karagandhi. I think that it's in those games that maybe we get a bit distracted or we lose a bit of focus. But when we're going up against the Barcelonas, the AC Milans, teams of this caliber, that's when Neil Lennon gets the best out of his sides.
Well, that does happen with quite a lot of regularity. But here's what's against Celtic for this game. Celtic have never won in Italy. That's the first thing. They've scored 4 goals in all the games, I think, that they've played in Italy. And they've only ever had 1 draw, and that was against Udinese. And, of course, I think they drew again in the 60s, nothing each, with the AC Milan, and then lost at Celtic Park against them. So, in that regard, there's all of that on the one side.
I'd take a draw. I would take a draw.
I'd take a draw. The other thing you got to remember is Celtic, in its various guises under Martin O'Neill, Gordon Strachan and Neil Lennon, have never won an opening game in the Champions League group stages.
That's an interesting statistic. Yeah,
that is an interesting statistic. They haven't won. The first one they lost to Juventus. We all remember that game, and they should have got a draw in that game.
Yeah.
But these are lots of things against Celtic in this in this match. But it's the first game in the section. Equally, this team have been over the course, although there are some new players for us, there are equally problems for Milan.
Yeah.
So there could be a chance of some kind of upset here in terms of what the bookies would class. I mean, most of my mates here have said when they heard the group Celtic got, they're like, you have no chance. And I said, well, we had no chance last year as well.
Yeah, they said the same exact thing this time last season, no question. I mean,
my fucking mates were like, Celtic, Glasgow, rubbish. And I said, where's your fucking team? Fucking Slovan Bratislava out in the first round. Fuck you.
There's your dinner.
To some bunch of fucking Bulgarians nobody's ever heard of. Fuck you.
So
you just kid on with these guys,
Yeah, well, I mean, exactly.
They're mates,
Well, they're mates. What can you do? It's just detailing some of the injuries. I mean, Antonelli, Abate, their starting goalkeeper since Moby Dick was a minnow. DeSiglio and El Shaarawy, who has been quite mouthy in the media. They still have Balotelli. They still have so many explosive weapons. I think that they're a bit top heavy in terms of forwards, in terms of attacking players. They have they brought in, as I mentioned before, Alexander Matri, who, in my opinion, that's a plus for us. I think F. Ambrose is going to be hyper focused, especially knowing what Matri did to him, last year, and that Juventus tie absolutely ripped him to shreds. If he can be disciplined and focused and be committed to exercise the demons, I think that's only a positive thing for us.
Well, I think Effie should be using this as his revenge mission.
Exactly.
To be perfectly honest, and get that guy
exactly
for making him basically lose his way last season, because up until that point he'd looked very, very good.
Yep.
So we're hopeful. Whatever comes. I don't know if it's going to be on television here, but I'm sure they're going to put the Celtic Barcelona game on here, because they put that on last year on the TV here. The whole world watched that on the TV.
Oh, no question.
It was a featured game in this country.
Everywhere.
That's what they had on.
Yeah, and here as well in the United States. I mean, it was an absolute shock. People that aren't as sort of sophisticated about the game, they know who Barcelona is, and they generally know who Celtic are, and they know how significant that game was, how significant that victory was. You didn't need to hear Ian Crocker absolutely going mental, losing his mind to know how significant that was, and how significant it was. I mean, Tony Watt, taking an error by maybe one of the best midfielders of this era, of this generation, Xavi, and just finishing it coolly. I mean, what a moment, for this club. And I don't think it's over. I think that in contrast to how we step up for big games, it seems as though these big clubs never learn their lesson in terms of not taking Celtic lightly. You still have players from Milan and elsewhere. The one exception obviously being Barcelona.
Yeah.
Obviously the Barcelona players pay their due plaudits to Celtic, and God bless them for doing it. But you still see a club like AC Milan, which for me, I see that as maybe the arrogance of the name on the front of their shirt, and not so much what they're displaying on the pitch. This is not the same Milan.
To be fair, Balotelli himself has actually come out and been very complimentary of Celtic.
Yeah.
He said, we can win the group, so can Celtic, so can Ajax. Why not? Just because it's Barcelona?
That's because he's sound as fuck.
No, but at least he's got the decency. No, but at least he's got the decency to say that. This what's his name?
El Shaarawy. He's yeah.
Who the fuck is he?
Well, he was. I mean, to be fair, this time last season, he was absolutely. I would be nervous of him if it were this time last season. But since Balotelli went back to Milan, Shaarawy's been an absolute passenger, and that's the reason, in my opinion, that they picked up Mautry. So his going out injured, I don't think is as big of an issue. But they do have Matthias Silvestri, who's going to be out. They're going to have some issues at the back. De Siglio is going to be out, and of course, as I mentioned before, Abate, who, I mean, he looks like the bad guy from one of the Indiana Jones movies. And it looks like he's going to take out his eyes at some point and switch him around or something or other. But he's been like a rock in between the sticks for them for quite some time. So that's certainly going to shake things up. I mean, you have two of your key defenders and your keeper out. So you're going to have second string keeper and at least one center half that's not going to be accustomed. I'm looking for communication issues, and if it's whether it be Pookie, whether it be Stokes leading the line, whether it be Sammy or whatever, they need to be ready. They need to be ready to pick up opportunities and to focus in on miscues at the back. That's where we're going to get our opportunities. Obviously, going up against a side with a slower build-up, they're used to having more time on the ball than maybe some of our opponents in Scotland. We can take advantage of that. I think Scott Brown, I haven't really pointed out how good he was today. I mean, there are several opportunities today where he would have lost the ball, and 2 years ago he would have gone in and just absolutely given somebody a doing, and instead he ran back, got the ball back in a very clever, very tactical way, didn't lose his head. I think it's another element of maturation. That's only doing this team a world of good in terms of their composure and in terms of their performance. But he's going to be absolutely essential in this tie. You talk about Balotelli, Scott Brown is ideal to just mark that's his mission. Mark Balotelli, and Lennon talks about how unpleasant it is to play against Scott Brown. We know that Balotelli is a head case, and I'm not saying Scott Brown should go up and take a stupid card or something like that. But Scott Brown knows what he's doing, and that's his mission, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, Balotelli's depends which Balotelli turns up. Is it the one that's actually the top class player that we know he is when he plays, or is it the one that is the head case? I mean, that's the question with him. But again, whatever happens in this group, I mean, I'm delighted we're in. It's a bloody hard group, and if we manage to get out of that group in any shape or form,
can we please finally get some respect?
well, listen, if you don't get respect for getting out of a group like that, then you might as well shut the whole bloody game of football down, in my opinion. It's just, it's ludicrous. But we've got a lot of factors going against us, as I've already said. But it's about time Celtic got a hell of a good result in their first opening game of the Champions League, and even in Italy. It's about time we get a great result. And I just hope that the players step up to the mark and go through it. We're in transition this year because the team we had last year has been to some degree taken away, but not in its entirety. And the really funny thing is, a lot of people have spoken about Wanyama and Wilson and Hooper. Celtic's two best players in the Champions League last year, in my opinion, were obviously Samaras and Chris Commons.
Yep.
And we've still got them.
Yep.
And these guys are relishing it at the end. They're going to come on to the kind of latter stages of their career now.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't want to go pissing about in some no-mark team in England or... they don't. Chris Commons played a whole load of his career in the Midlands.
Derby County.
But I mean, great clubs in the past, but they're not what they are now. And
up the Rams.
No, but he's seen the ugly side of football.
Sure.
He's seen the difficult side of football.
Sure.
And when you come to play in the Champions League, you just give it your best. I mean, he was outstanding for us in most of the games he played last year in the Champions League. And these guys are the ones that are going to grasp these chances. And if the Milan players are turning up like El Shaarawy, whatever his name is, I can't say it.
El Shaarawy.
El Shaarawy, there you go. If it's him, that fucking guy that's been cheeky about us. If they're going to turn up with his attitude and not the respectful.
Yep, absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. And the dynamic point that you bring up there is Commons and Samaras. You're absolutely right. This is their second go round, third if you want to count the Europa League, and there were some moral lessons, I guess, or some moral victories you could have taken from that first Europa League campaign, which I think transferred over to last season's Champions League campaign. But at this point, those players, Commons, Samaras, and Lustig, is another player that was absolutely essential for us in the Champions League last year. Not only did they have that additional experience, but they're not scared. They're not scared of any team. They're drawing on that experience, not just against Barcelona. Obviously that's going to fuel them, going forward. But we stood toe to toe with a Benfica side that went to the final of the Europa League. They're no mugs. We sent them out. We stood toe to toe with Spartak Moscow, who, they were no mugs coming into it. So they're coming in and they're confident. They're not scared of any of these sides. So any of these new players that are coming in, Pukki's obviously going to factor in, you would think, more and more as the season progresses. Van Dijk coming in, a lot of this is going to be new to him. They're going to look to Commons and Sammy and see that they're not scared. We're not out of place. We belong here. And I think that's going to translate over, to the point where, as you're talking about, we lost Wilson, is going to be a huge loss for us, and Wanyama, who, it's immeasurable. Hooper is going to be, that's a unique one because we don't really have a like-for-like replacement for him. We're going to need to do some adjusting, but I'm confident that Neil Lennon can do it, surprisingly. For listeners of the show for a long time, everybody knows I'm Dr. Doom, but I've learned my lesson by counting against Neil Lennon too many times, and I'm done with it.
Well, it's like that. And the last time I was in the show, I thought we had no chance of getting into the Champions League. But really, that's how I felt at the time. And I was just thinking, we're never going to get this. We're never going to get through this.
I did too.
And they just keep pulling it out the fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've got to admire a team that can do that.
No question.
But it doesn't matter who's playing. They've different guys missing with injury. Scott Brown didn't play, or Hooper against Barcelona at Celtic Park. And yet, they still went and they still won that game.
Yep, exactly.
And it's just the level of performance that they had. They only played, in my opinion, like badly once in the groups last year, and that was away to Benfica.
I agree. Yeah.
And even at that, we could have got a draw in the last minute when the ball gets scuffed across the goal.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this team will go. This team will try, and I think. They represent what the manager has instilled in them. You go and you keep going until it's impossible.
Well, and as such, we're not going to listen. There have been, the dirty unwashed from the other side of the city when they would line up in the Champions League and get their automatic bids, through a lot of the effort that Celtic went through to get the coefficient up to a certain point. They went into the group stages automatically knowing that they were going to be cannon fodder. They were praying just to get a third place spot. This is not what Celtic are going into this group stage with. I don't care what group they get placed in. This is a Celtic side that no matter what happens, we as supporters all know, this team is not going to leave this group embarrassed, no matter what the outcome is. No matter where we finish in the group, this team is not going to be embarrassed. They're going to go out. They're going to set out to play football. And they have this. Everybody's bought into this system that Neil Lennon has injected, and it's a pleasure to watch. And they do their best work when the chips are stacked highest against them. So I'm looking forward to Wednesday.
Well, yeah, me too. If you compare what our former rivals who no longer exist, and I've said that, so I'm Jim Spence too. If you compare some of the groups they used to get compared to every single one we've had. They used to get teams for minor leagues all the time and get their arse handed to them. Right. Yeah. With all the money that they were spending, whether you believe in where it was coming from or no. But just think of that and look at every group Celtic have played in the Champions League. We've either had the European champions in we've had a team from Italy or Spain or England, pretty much every...
Uh-oh. Yeah, I think we lost Snake. Okay. Snake, sorry about that. We'll try and get you back on here. Let me try and sort through the Skype issues at this point. I think we're... I'm not really sure what the issue is, but... oh, there we go. We're back on. Snake, sorry about that. We'll try and get you back on. If not, thanks for giving us a call. Anybody else listening in, we'll take one more call, and then I'm going to shut it down. Gone for about 99, 100 minutes at this point. So I think we've really gotten the gist of the information out there. Bottom line, going into Wednesday, I'm not super confident. Like we're going to go in there guns ablazing and just pick them apart and take them completely down. I see 1-1 as my prediction. And, unfortunately, I don't see Stoke starting. Pookie coming on, looking quite strong. I think that Neil Lennon has a lot of time for Pookie. I think Neil Lennon has, I think he has a mindset and a framework worked out, and we saw that today in terms of squad rotation. We saw Joe Ledley come out. We saw Charlie Mulgrew come in. We saw a tendency last season. This gets back to my earlier point about Neil Lennon evolving as a manager, growing as a manager. We saw Neil Lennon trotting out the same exact team week after week and then playing them in the Champions League and then bringing them back in the league and playing them in the league. I think that he's got a better concept of squad rotation at this point. Unfortunately, for Anthony Stokes, I think that means Stokes is playing more domestically, and I think he's probably going to have a role as coming off the bench in some of these European ties. Right or wrong, as unfortunate as it is, especially on the tails of such a brilliant performance, that's just how I see it. With that being said, where does Charlie Mulgrew fit in with all this? There's only so many spots in the park. It looks like Van Dijk and Ambrose have set up the favored partnership. Does Charlie Mulgrew maybe come in for Emilio Ezagari? Does Izzy wind up becoming the more domestic option at left back? And Charlie Mulgrew goes in there at left back to provide a bit more steel and a bit more flexibility. Let's be honest, Mulgrew can go in the midfield. He can come back and play center half. These are aspects and capabilities that Izagari doesn't quite have. And, let's be honest, it seems apparent that Neil Lennon is favoring a bigger, stronger side. We brought in Bitan, who's 6'5", 6'4", anchoring the midfield. We have Bo Rector, cuts a big figure on the right-hand side. Sammy's huge over on the left. Obviously, Pookie and Commons are going to be more of the skilled players linking things up straight through the center channel. But, that might not be a bad shout. Charlie Mulgrew on the left-hand side, Lustig on the right. I mean, just towers. And then, of course, Matthews. I think it was interesting that Neil Lennon pointed out the fact that Matthews is going to be fit for Wednesday. Where does he factor into this? Is he going to be going up the left-hand side? So many different formations because we have so many players who, quite frankly, have found their form and can play in so many different areas. It's a great problem to have. But, unfortunately, it may very well, and it looks very likely that Anthony Stokes is once again going to be on the outside looking in. But at any rate, Parrott alluded to it briefly earlier. Just want to send our thoughts and prayers out to Yampy. Scott from South Jersey just got some bad news about his family, and we just want him to know that we're thinking about him and praying for him and his family. If you want to send him a message, get in touch. You can find him at Yampy, YAHMPY, on Twitter. And, just send him a nice message and, to get his thoughts and spirits up. Tough times. But that's pretty much it. That's all I got. So I want to thank everybody for calling in. It's never an easy thing with the Rev canceling out on me. No, I kid the Rev. Rev's out on assignment. He's looking for kilts, I think. I'm actually going to need to go up to North Jersey to get fitted for a kilt in a couple of weeks. The first time I've worn a kilt will be at the Rev's wedding. That'll be several days after I return from Scotland for the second time. And might be the last time I'm in Scotland for quite some time. So, anyway, lots of stuff going on. But, what a time. What a time to be a Celtic supporter. Happy days. Another great result away at Tynecastle. And top of the league for the moment. Game in hand. And it's pretty much all you can say about it, really. So, in closing, if you have not listened to our chat with Paul Larkin from last week, I strongly encourage you to do so. You can find it at Hail Hail Media under Beyond the Waves, the asterisk years 1, and it's listed as 1 because it's going to be the first discussion we have with him. There will be a second one in the coming weeks where we can talk more specifically about the book. And, of course, the book launch is going to be in November. The book is out on November 3rd, so you're going to have to wait until then, but I assure you, and I promise you, it's going to be worth the wait. It's explosive stuff, and it really peels the lid off of topics and off of the storyline that really should have been exposed years, if not decades ago. So lots to look forward to there. But 3-1, another 3 points, and we're just looking ahead to the game against Milan. My take is 1-1. You can find us on Twitter at BTW Celtic Show or send us an email, beyondthewaves67@gmail.com. Let us know what your predictions are, thoughts, comments on the show, and we appreciate you listening. Appreciate everybody for calling in. So taking us out, as always, is Shane McGowan and the Pogues. Where are you, Shane? Ah, there he is. From Chad Hogan's basement, hail, hail, and keep the faith. We'll talk to you soon.
The island, it is silent now, but the ghosts still haunt the waves. And a torch lights up a famished man who fortune could not save. Did you work upon the railroads? Did you ride the streets of crime? Were your dollars from the White House? Were they from the 5 and dime? Did the old songs start to cheer you? And did they still make you cry? Did you count the months and years? Or did your teardrops quickly dry? I know that it was not to be on a coffin ship. I came here and I never even got so far that they could change my name. Thousands are sailing across the western ocean to a land of opportunity that some of them will never see. Fortune prevailing across the western ocean, their bellies full, their spirits free. They'll break the chains of poverty and they'll dance. In Manhattan's desert twilight, in the dead of afternoon, we stepped hand in hand on Broadway, like the first man on the moon. And a blackbird broke the silence as you whistled, it's so sweet. And in Brendan Behan's footsteps, I danced up and down the street. And we said goodnight to Broadway, giving it our best regards. Took our hats to Mr. Cohen, dear old Times Square's favourite bird. Then we raised a glass to JFK and a dozen more besides. When I got back to my empty room, I suppose I must have cried. Thousands are sailing again across the ocean with a hand of opportunity. Just tickets